Derwin. I've been with Johnson & Wales since 2000, September 2000, so 16 years.
I am Andrea Luoma, and I have been with Johnson & Wales for a year and a half now.
My name is Professor Polano, and I've been here at Johnson & Wales for 7 years.
I have been in the SEE industry. Actually, it's a little bit of a story, but I actually started off in recreation. So I was down at the University of Rhode Island, where I got my degree in early childhood education. But I was on the track team down there. And I worked in the recreation department in the intramurals office. After graduating, I stayed on there for a year and a half in the intramurals office. Transferred over to Community College of Rhode Island, working in their recreation department, and then went back to school for travel tourism. And when I graduated from the travel tourism school, I got a job in a travel agency, where I eventually worked up to management. Started doing I started off doing corporate travel, which then led me over to leisure travel, which then led me over to sports travel, which was kind of the mixture of what I really like to do, travel and in sport management.
And my experience in the industry was in both meetings and conventions and events. So a lot of times students come into this thinking that they're going to be in one particular area, and in actuality, sometimes you end up in multiple areas over time, and that was my experience. I worked in higher education in meeting and event planning, as well as in special event planning. And so I worked for the College of Engineering and Science and planned conferences and conventions and trade shows.
I have been in the sports entertainment and event industry for most of my professional life. I started out as a high school teacher, physical education and health. I was a coach at the high school level for 18 years before moving on to higher education in 1995. I've spent close to 20 years or so in higher education in some element of the sports world. Previous to coming to Johnson & Wales, I was an athletic director at the Community College of Rhode Island, and then I was promoted to Associate Dean of Student Life and Athletics, and then went from that place up to the Associate Vice President for Enrollment Management, Student Life and Athletics.
I started as a student in college myself, and I was highly involved in Residence Hall Council and doing things at a regional and national level through the Residence Hall Council. So I was in Minnesota at the time, and I was involved in the Midwest region, and then of course the national as well. We did conferences 3 times a year at the regional and national level. We participated in conferences, and then we also had the opportunity to have our universities bid to host a conference as well. So very much involved in kind of this meeting event planning kind of thing as a student.
Kind of linked in early in my life into the love of sport, and growing and taking that opportunity myself, also playing sports in my time period. I also was able to use that as a vehicle to become a better student, to become a college graduate in a sense.
Well, there's a lot of different things. I have my freshman students talk about some of the skills that are necessary to work in the industry. And I guess some of the skills that I learned was definitely multitasking, time management, organizational skills, leadership skills. To stay open-minded. If something becomes available while you're working in one area, don't be afraid to kind of branch out. It's actually what I pretty much did my entire life, my entire career.
Well, you've probably heard all of us say in some form or another that relationships are important in this industry, and I can't impress upon you enough what that really means, and that people that you meet today will be important 10 or 15 or 20 years later in ways that you never could have imagined, that you will come across that person again. They may be your boss, you may be their boss, the reality is we may be a 7 billion person world, but the reality is we're not even 6 degrees of separation. We're sometimes only 2 or 3.
And most importantly, it's getting our students also to understand that we're looking at careers, we're not looking at jobs. And there's a big difference. So with a career, there's a pathway. And that initial path is not always, easy to climb or walk through. It can be bumpy. And it's probably going to be in jobs that are at the lower end of the pay scale in the industry. But everybody who has been successful started there.